we will now look at the information processing system. An information processor or information processing system is a system which takes information in one form and processes or transforms it into another form. Now, looking at the information processing system, let's talk about the cognitive psychology, because information processing system lies at the heart of cognitive psychology. Cognitive psychology compares human mind to computer in terms of receiving information or input, processing it, coding it, and then producing it. An information processing system is made up of 4 basic parts or subparts, you can say. One is input, processor, storage, and output. Input, as we know, comes from external stimulus, and then it goes into processing, which is processor, and followed by processor is storage, and then you have the output. So let's try to understand these basic parts in the light of the model that I'm going to discuss now. Now, this is the working memory model. Before that, let's first very briefly talk about those 4 components, which is input, processor, storage, and output. Now, before anything goes into input processor, it remains in the external environment as in the form of stimuli. Now, input processors are concerned with analyzing or having the analysis of the stimuli. Then, storage processor covers everything that happens in the stimuli in brain, or that happens to stimuli in brain, including coding and manipulating. Output processors are responsible for preparing appropriate response. So you start from stimulus, then input processor comes in, then information goes to storage where the processes are in the form of coding and manipulating, and lead them to output processor for the preparation of appropriate response. Now we have the working memory model proposed by Bedley and Hitch in 1974. Working memory is basically the temporary storage of information. You have the phonological loop here, and this is the phonological store. Then you have central executive and then Vizio spatial storage. Now, what do we mean by these 3 areas, which further have the articulatory processes and Vizio-spatial processes? Now, first of all, talking about the Vizio-spatial Sketchpad, which basically temporarily maintains and manipulates Vizio-spatial information. Now, this is the system that allows us to form visual images, rotate them in our mind, convert words into images, and so on. We will have less to say about this kind of slave system because this system basically creates a visual image in our mind. Then you have the phonological store. Phonological store holds phonological representation for a brief period of time. The articulatory rehearsal system enables us to covertly transform or covertly rehearse material, thus prolonging their stay in the phonological store. Now, the model assumes that there are phonological representations of both auditory as well as visual material. That is, when visual material such as printed letters are presented, we may convert them into phonological representation and thus hold them here in this storage. Coming to central executive, it's a limited capacity pool of general processing resource. Now, the central executive was initially conceived as a limited capacity pool of general processing. That is based on the assumption that maybe we are limited in terms of numbers of things we do at once. How many things we can simultaneously do effectively depends on the amount of resources the task requires. For example, we can watch TV and at the same time we can eat, but it is more difficult to say carry on a conversation while doing arithmetic problem in our head. So this is the phenomena that has been explained with the help of this working memory model by Bedley and Hitch. To conclude, information processing system focuses on how we deal with the vast amount of information that is available to us when we are performing multiple tasks and skills.